I want to introduce to you, first and foremost, Ricardo Salvador. Why am I saying first and foremost? Because this guy is an old Iowa State professor.
That's right.
For almost 3 decades.
That's right. Well, I went to Iowa State as a graduate student first, but then went
so
on
then
to
you
faculty.
got everything covered.
Right.
Well, welcome to the show. Now, you are
Thank
here
you.
with the Union of Concerned Scientists Food and Environment Program, and the person sitting next to Molly is Mark Bittman. You are a former New York Times columnist, and so you did have some experience in this city.
He's a cookbook author as well. Several cookbooks. One of them sold over 1 million. So when it comes to food, this guy knows what he's talking about.
Sort of.
Yes.
Sort of, yeah.
Yes.
But you guys are in town for a very important reason.
Right. Well, we're here because it's political season, and we're here to call on the presidential candidates to fix our food system. And I know that that might be news to a lot of folks because our food system in many ways is a big success. But in other ways that are really important to all of us, it really needs attention. For instance, most of us, if we just eat what the food system provides for us, will have serious health troubles over the course of our life. And if we want to do the right thing, it turns out that we need to pay more for the highest quality food. And so it shouldn't be that way. Families all ought to have access to the healthiest food in the most affordable way. And that's a matter of national policy. So it's one of the things that we'd like for these folks to pay attention to.
And how are we going to go about doing this? How are we going to go about informing people about this?
Well, I think everyone knows, either because you're all trying to watch your weight, we all have either ourselves or close friends and family that have to deal with obesity, hypertension, diabetes, cardiac diseases, all these things that come from just basically eating the American way. That this system needs attention, because if you want to have the highest, fruits and vegetables, the highest quality fruits and vegetables and other healthy food, it turns out you have to spend more, and that's not a market result. We actually invest in supporting the food system that provides us cheap ingredients for the junk food diet, and the public investment at least should be for healthy food, and it's the reverse right now.
And so how did you get involved in this project?
Well, I'd just like to say this. I think it's amazing that we're here saying, Ricardo and I are just guys, really, and we're here saying the presidential candidates should pay attention to food, that the food system has problems, kids are getting sick, many people are obese, diabetes, all the stuff Ricardo enumerated. And we have to say, wait, this isn't an issue that's on your radar screen. This should be one of the top issues on your radar screen. You want to improve health of Americans. You want to improve environmental conditions. You want to stop degrading our soil, our water, etc. You have to talk about food. And the fact that we have to come here in the middle of primary season and just raise this issue, and how nice of you to have us here to let us do that. Thank you. But it's crazy that this is even what do candidates talk about? Half the time they're talking about things that are irrelevant. They're beating each other up. They're doing silly things. I mean, Iowa's the center of the country right now because all these people are here beating up on each other. And they're not addressing a major issue like this. And that's what brings us here, is to say, come on, this is really serious business, and you're paying no attention.
Other countries are doing this. How are they doing it? How are they successful?
It's funny because countries that we think of as sort of secondary or tertiary countries, because we're the United States, after all.
Yes.
Mexico has a tax on soda and junk food. Mexico, a national tax on soda and junk food, and as a result, the consumption of soda went down by 8% in 1 year. So if you believe, and most people do, that drinking too much soda is part of the obesity crisis in the United States, and if you believe that the obesity crisis directly leads to diabetes, which it probably does, 1 in 3 kids born today will develop diabetes in their lifetime. This is the first generation of children that's in over 100 years that's going to live less long than their parents did, whose life expectancy is shorter than their parents were. So if you believe those things, something like a soda tax, let's try to reduce the consumption of soda, makes some sense. Is the United States doing this? No, Mexico is doing this. So who's leading the world in figuring things out? Not us. And again, it's not even on the agenda, which is really the shame. I believe that a soda tax makes some sense. I don't know that I'm right about that, but can't we have at least this kind of discussion on the table?
Okay,
I'm sorry, Molly, but has any of the candidates addressed anything that we just mentioned here?
Well, curiously, because we want to put this onto their agenda, when we reached out to all of the campaigns, we did get some response. 3 of the campaigns want to know a little bit more about this, and so we're engaged in conversations with them. Yes, absolutely. We're pleased that that's the response, although as Mark has said, this is such a top issue. When you take a look at the numbers of people that are affected by the issues that we've both been talking about, it vastly exceeds most of the other issues that these folks are discussing.
Now, can you say who the 3 people that said, hey, we're interested in learning more? Do you mind saying who those people were?
So we'll be speaking with the O'Malley campaign, the Clinton campaign, the Fiorina campaign. These are the folks that have responded to our outreach to them. Yes.
Okay, I'm not buying soda and junk food tax. Sorry, not on board with that. Give me another idea.
Okay, well, when it comes to healthy food, one of the biggest obstacles is that if you want to do the right thing and you want to go for fresh fruits and vegetables, it ends up that there you go, okay. This sort of stuff.
That's the new Pizzazz apple. We sampled that, the new variety.
Is that quick enough for you? Okay.
Yeah, it's like you were prepared for us here. So it turns out that you usually have to end up spending more than, say, for something like that. We won't mention names here, but the typical package meal at a fast food place.
Okay.
But that is far more processed, packaged, marketed. It actually does cost more, but because we provided all kinds of public support, then it is artificially cheap, whereas we usually have to end up paying the actual price for stuff like this. So that's a market distortion that we're causing with public investment, and it has real consequences because then we can't do the right thing, and so our public policy is making us all sick. So that's something that requires, as Mark has said, national leadership from politicians.
All right, Ricardo and Mark, what can we do to help gain some attention for this in the next, we have less than 2 weeks before the caucus, and we've got to get their attention. What do you suggest people do?
Okay, so Iowa, as we've talked about, is a place where folks can directly say things to candidates. In the remaining 2 weeks, what I would advise is that when you have an opportunity to speak to these candidates, their organizers, ask them where they are on food. And real specifics are things such as how are you going to increase access to the best, healthiest food for all families. You can also ask them what they can do to support family farms, because it actually turns out small and mid-scale farms are the ones that could probably do the best job in supplying local and regional fruits and vegetables for us, and so that's important in a place like Iowa. The other thing is that we usually are not aware that the food system does things in our name that most of us would not condone. We really abuse both workers, so people and animals, in the course of producing the type of junk food diet that we all just take for granted. Another thing is we're vastly abusing antibiotics in order to support confinement agriculture, in a sense that it affects all of us, because that means that antibiotics then are not available for human medicine.
Right.
And so the entire science and medicinal establishment is in unison about this. We need to stop doing that. So those are some very specific
All right,
things.
so if you see any of the candidates in the next several days before the caucus, bring those things up to them and see what their response is. If you want more information, this is your website. You can jump online and get more information about how you can fix your food. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks
we appreciate you
for having
being
us.
here.
Thank you for having us.